Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode celebrating the 10th anniversary of Set Listing Bruce. That's right, Set Listing Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. They say that failure is an orphan, success has many parents. If there is a parent, and there are many that I acknowledge helped me reach this, but Rob Southgate has to be one of them. I will not embarrass Rob too much, but he reached out and said, "Hey, I want to do a Doctor Who podcast. I think you'd be a great host." And anything we ever wanted to do, 100% supportive. And so to celebrate the 10th anniversary, I go, "Hey, I want to do something special." Once again, I reach out to Rob, go like, "I'm here." So Rob, welcome to the podcast again.
And also, I interviewed you for the first episode, so it's
Yes, you
appropriate
did.
to have me here. I want to put a little asterisk on this because it's not. I do not take the credit. Maeve, my wife, gets the credit
Oh,
because when you said, like you were in, we were having a great time. We're doing the Doctor Who thing. We're like, do whatever you want, and you came to us and you said, I do have an idea. I'd like to do a Bruce Springsteen podcast. I said, okay, let's think about it and we'll talk about it. And Maeve said to you, yep, done. You're doing it. And afterwards, I said to her, oh, yeah, of course we let him do it. But I go, how's he going to do more than like 10 episodes? What are you going to talk about?
yeah.
And she said, it's not our problem. Jesse's a smart guy. He's interesting. He'll figure it out. I think you figured it out, Jesse.
I think so. Yes, I it is hilarious, and I always give you credit when, and I'm sure you remember this, but when we were talking, you were interviewing me the first episode, and I can't remember if it was on mic or after mic, but you said a lot of the things you're talking about reminds me of how we feel about Wilco.
That was on
You know,
Mike.
you
Yeah.
might you may want to just throw in every once in a while someone else like to have that. And I said,
Yeah.
yeah, I could call them B-side episodes.
It's what you
And
did.
and I've been amazed at the wonderful people that have joined me, that and I reached the point where people will tell me, "Well, I'm not a fan of Bruce Springsteen." I go, "That's okay." I said, "We'll have a good conversation anyway." And
Absolutely.
yeah,
You've got a passion. See, that's what the show is about. And that's what we got into in the very first episode. It's really about passion.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it's about. You love Bruce Springsteen. Doesn't matter how I feel about Bruce Springsteen. You get to what are you passionate about?
yeah.
I've listened a lot. I've heard a lot of people that are not Springsteen fans that are super passionate about whatever it is, and you that's where the common ground is. The big Venn diagram, big circles connecting right in the middle there.
Yeah, and one of the things we got to do for a little bit, and then when I started a new job, I had to pass away. I had to give it to
You
someone
didn't pass
else.
away, Jesse.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
let's watch the
Yeah,
phrasing
yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
exactly. I had to move on. You were kind enough to say, "Hey, Jesse, I want to promote some of my writers with my day gig." And so we were able to do a series of a handful of episodes and
Author
just,
interviews.
yeah, author interviews, and just had a blast.
And you know what? The authors, once again, when I first talked to the authors, because I got a few authors on Set Listing Bruce,
Yeah.
and same thing. I'm an author. I'm not even really a Bruce Springsteen fan. I'm like, trust me, you're going to start talking to Jesse, and you're going to find out you're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, Jesse, the love that I got back about you. Every one of them absolutely loved you, loved the show. Was like, if I ever have a chance to be on again, let me know. And I'm like, yep, Jesse is always there. So when we did the Writers Bunkhouse, the one that
Yeah.
that you did, who were the first ones? It was people you'd already interviewed that were like, I want on, like
Yeah.
immediately, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you are very right, and I would put you on anything. If we didn't have to work and we could have a perfect world of us just sitting around with headphones on, I would have you on everything. I would include you all the time.
Yeah. It is, and it is, there is a little bit of, and it's not cockiness, it's confidence, is I can look at someone and I'll send them an email, we'll talk on DM, we'll via instant messenger, and I go, I promise you will have fun.
Yeah.
I don't care how shy you are. I don't care how
That's not being cocky. You
embarrassed.
you know your brand, you know what you do. And it's very
Yes.
true, Jesse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I deal with so many introverts on the various podcasts I'm still doing.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how often I have to say, trust me, I'm gentle. We'll have fun. By the end of
Yes.
it, you're going to wish you could keep coming back on. And I have yet to have somebody that doesn't feel that way. It's because we know what our value is and we know how to bring their value out and highlight them. It's not about us, it's about them.
It is. And I had someone and I was so happy. She had a different political bent than I, and we won't get into the specifics, but a massive Springsteen fan. And I said, join me. I promise you'll have fun. I promise it will be a pleasant experience. And we talked over an hour.
Yeah.
And then she emailed me 2 days later and said, can I please come back on again? Because there's stuff I
I didn't
forgot to
get to.
tell you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did. And I said, of course. And then, of course, you have the fun of editing the two
Oh,
together.
yeah.
But I was
Uh,
happy to do it. And she has reached out to me multiple times and said, this is the sweetest thing, and you're a Minch. And well, thank you.
One of my favorite, this is so funny because it's a Jesse moment that I think
Yeah.
of when I think of you, but it's not you.
Yeah.
But when you were having us work with Terry on, he came on, did his thing
Yeah.
on Set Leslie Bruce a few times, and you said you got to have Rob and you got to have Martha on. She's now Maeve. She's
Yeah.
changed her name, but at that time it was Rob and Martha. So if you look it up, it's Martha.
Yeah.
And you said you got to have them on. They're going to be so much fun. The Martha episode, it became two parts because she talks and she kept going and it became two parts. It's one of my favorite moments in the 14 years of Southgate Media Group existing
Yeah.
because it's such a good, emotional, fun, funny listen. It's so amazing. And it's all because you went, hey, Terry, let's try it on Set Listing Bruce.
Yeah.
And we've got an idea for this show. And I was like, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
You became a mini producer at that exact moment. And it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So I thank you for that. That's a gift. That was so great.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to turn the mic over to Rob. I thought it was appropriate, as you said, our very first episode was Rob interviewing me, meet the host. And so Rob said, hey, I'd love to come back. So I have no idea what Rob's going to ask, but I feel like I'm in gentle hands.
I do feel like I'm a better interviewer than I was 14 years ago. So we should, or 10 years ago for Set Listing Bruce. So we should have pretty interesting content.
Well, and the problem you got with two podcast hosts, right, is we're just going to talk. But I've shared with this before, right? When people come up to me and ask for advice, how to start podcasting, I say, make sure it's a passion you love, that you aren't going to run out of space to talk about it. Make sure it's a topic that you would discuss even if no one listens. And three, just start recording because the first few episodes are not going to be any good. But you know what? You'll get better.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might even be great. You might technically not be great. You might not get the sound right. You might not. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't care. Go
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Go record. Yeah. It's great advice, Jesse.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it a long time. So wait, what was your first podcast that you did?
So I was in the Galactic Quorum podcast was doing the new Battlestar Galactica, and I started sending in emails, and they asked me once to sit in. So I did that. The first one I did on a regular basis was the Farscape podcast, Scapecast, where Lou and Karen.
Oh, wow. Karen was already with you back then.
Yes, so
Wow.
Karen, and yeah, she raises her hand and said, I don't know if I should be thanked or cursed that I've released a monster, but yeah. And so they were going to go through Farscape, a rewatch. And so both Lou
Sure.
and her had seen every episode and they wanted a newbie. And they originally started out having a couple of newbies, but I was consistent and they thought that I added good thoughts. So I started being pretty regular. And then she asked me, "Hey, I'm going to do a castle podcast. Would you want to talk castle?" And I went, "Yeah, sure." And I give that a lot of credit because I felt guilty. Karen recorded, scheduled, edited, hosted. And I said, "I don't know how to edit, but why don't I see if I can drive the bus?" as we joked, right?
Sure.
And so we did that. And then I was a guest on a couple of podcasts you had about conventions.
Oh, really?
Remember you had they were talking about the fan that's I think how we met through that. And
Okay.
you'll have to tell you can tell the story.
I
Yeah.
could if I could remember. I actually, welcome to Old Man Radio here.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to see if I still have it on here because that show is one of the one I think you were on is a very bizarre piece of our history.
Yeah.
Let me see if it's here because it's a show that never took off. Let's see. I'm scanning through endless shows.
Yeah.
Here it is. Was it Tour de Cons you were on?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's the weird thing. I say it's a failed show, but we did 40 episodes.
Yeah.
Did you were a guest on that when we talked about a couple of cons,
Yes.
but you also then sent me when you went to Dragon Con, you
Yeah.
hosted the Colony, the Class fan
Yeah.
panel, American Gods and
Yeah.
Into the Badlands. Oh, and the 100.
Yeah.
And you sent me those and said, "Here,
Yeah.
go ahead and use them." So it's funny because I loved that premise, but we never got that out of that show.
Right.
You came on and talked about what you did at the con and all that, which was a lot of fun. But it's funny because even though that show, I say it's a failed experiment, even though there are 40 episodes, I can't tell you how many people ended up with us as a result of that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
a guest talking about geeky stuff, and then
Yeah. And what was really interesting, talk about going back in the TARDIS, the I just rewatched Spearhead from Space with Charles, and
okay,
that was the first episode on Next Stop Everywhere where we weren't talking a new Who episode.
okay,
Because to pull the curtain back, Rob said, "Hey, we've already got one Doctor Who podcast, but it's his family watched it, and it was Molly's show. Molly, she narrated, she hosted, and you and Maeve were with her.
right,
And you said, I want to do a different podcast. Would you be interested?" And so I reached out to my buddy Charles, and yes. So I'm listening to this episode. I'm still hosting it because Charles had not started hosting yet.
okay.
You still edited it back then.
Oh,
We
I was
record.
doing Jesse, you took over editing. Do you know the most I did was 36 different episodes in a week?
Yes.
Can you imagine? I look at that now and I'm like, I can barely get through the 5 I have to do.
Yes.
36 a week, and I did that for 3 years.
Yes. And so then once we started doing that, and I talked about this, the film Springsteen and I had came out and everyone was sharing their stories. Lynette Carolla, which I would love to get on this podcast. I met her once in person. She said, "Sure, sure, email me. I'd love to have on," and we just have never connected. But she was talking about Springsteen, and I realized I want more podcasts. And at the time, I'm very proud there was no Springsteen podcast. Now
Oh, there
then
were none
there's
at that point.
three or four out there now, and they're all great, but I was the trailblazer.
You saw the Springsteen blue ocean, which
Yes,
is
I
what
did.
marketers would say.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I didn't know that. See, and once again, I would have thought you're going to make it 10 episodes and you're done. So you really did have vision.
Yeah, I did. And I knew, and one of the things that I think has helped is my core audience is Springsteen fans coming onto the podcast, telling their journey. But a couple of things I got lucky about. One, Jay Armstrong, who is going to come back, but he's a writer and he was a teacher at the time. And
Okay.
he talked about that he gave his students the lyrics to Thunder Road, and they would read it as if it was a poem, and then he would have his students for their assignment write, "Do you think Mary got in the car or not?"
Yeah.
And I was
I
like,
actually remember this episode. I loved this
yeah.
episode.
And so I went, you know what? That's a good way to end the podcast. And
Yeah.
so that has now been my signature. And even people who's never heard Bruce Springsteen, I tell them, okay, this is your only homework.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Did she, Jesse?
After 1,400 episodes, it's about 50-50. 50% say she does, 50% says she doesn't.
But what do you think?
I absolutely, I'm a romantic.
Yeah, you're a big softie. She gets
I
in the car.
I grew up with it, but I will tell you, and I mention this a lot, a guy named Steve Young, who is a writer for David Letterman.
Okay.
He said, I said, "Oh, he goes, is that the song The Screen Door Slams?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Okay, I got you an answer." So we get to the end and he says, "Yes." She gets in the car. She asks the guy to drive her to the hardware store. She gets a new spring and she fixes that slam door. I said, that is the most
it's
unique one.
it's an answer.
It is an answer. Yes.
That's really good. That's really good. Okay. We got the genesis of how it happened.
Yeah.
Out of the 10 years. And this, Jesse, one thing that I've gotten good at is asking terrible questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to torture you with a couple here. This one is just terrible. But know that I'm in this moment. All these episodes, what did you say, 1,400?
Yeah.
Give me three standouts where you just go, when I'm telling people about my show, I say, you got to listen to this episode. Give me three.
So the first one is Sarah Gregory, and she's going to come back on. Sarah told the story that her grandmother was murdered by a friend of the family, and it put her in a bad situation. Sarah did a lot of self-medication, self very poor behavior, got sober, but told her sober coach and her sponsor, "I'll never forgive that man. No,
Sure.
I won't." And no matter what they talked about, healing doesn't matter. She's in the car and she hears Bruce Springsteen's song Letter to You. And
Hmm.
she went home and she started writing. And
Wow. Oh, I'm
she
getting chills.
mailed,
I heard
yes,
this episode, by the way, and I'm getting
yeah.
chills just hearing it again.
She mailed an email. She mailed a letter to the man who had killed her grandmother. And he wrote back. And she ends up being there the day before he was executed. They spent 2 or 3 hours together. She forgave him. His family ended up forgiving him because
Wow.
they had disowned him, and when they said, if you can forgive him, we can. And so and it sounds like a movie, Rob, but
Yeah, it's
she
beautiful.
said, when look at me and know that someone loves you.
Wow.
And the other one I haven't recorded yet, but I know it's going to be special. About a month ago, I said, I think I'm done. 10 years,
Yeah, good place to end.
that's a good place to start. I'm not getting the downloads that I thought I should. I'm not, there's other places here. Maybe I just need to call it quits. And so a guy called from England and he had texted me and said, "Hey, Jesse, do you have time to talk?" And I said, "Yeah." And he told the story that a friend of theirs, Kim, had traveled to the UK to go see Bruce at Hyde Park, and she passed away before she got to the concert at his house.
Oh,
And
wow.
and he says, so you can imagine American citizen, all this stuff. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And he says, "And we want to remember her. So would you mind hosting a round table of her friends
Oh,
remembering Kim?"
Jesse. I know
Rob,
you haven't done this yet, but this sounds like top of the mountain stuff. This is
I
amazing.
mean, Rob, I'm serious. That day, I was thinking, I'm going to stop. I
Yeah.
went to my lovely bride, Linda, and I said, I have a complicated relationship with God, as we all do. I said, but if there ever was a sure sign that
That was it.
that fate, God, whatever you want to call us, saying, you don't do this for numbers, Jesse. So that one was pretty special.
Since this isn't an interview of me, I'm not going to share two stories, but offline, I've got a
Yeah.
couple of stories for you that
Okay.
will make you go, "Yep,
Yeah.
I know exactly the feeling. I
Yeah.
can relate more than you could ever imagine."
Yeah. And then in fact, I've been able to talk to writers that I adore. There's always a highlight. Peter Ames Carlin. In fact, at 7 o'clock tonight, in 25 minutes, David Leaf is joining me, and he is the guy who wrote the Brian Wilson autobiography or wrote Brian Wilson's biography. And I asked him after Brian died, I said, I know you guys were close if you ever want to talk about Brian. And he said, Yeah, give me a couple weeks. And he sent back and he says, I'd love to talk to you. So those are it. Those are the most emotional ones. The other category is it feels like every time I get another podcaster on the phone, and we have a lot of fun.
Oh, sure.
So it just is always that. So I think those would be some of my top ones.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So here's another garbage question.
Yes.
You're talking 1,400 episodes. We're talking so many box sets and albums and live performances.
Yeah.
If you were building a set listing Bruce playlist,
Yeah.
give give me I don't know, five songs. I know you'll go forever, but give me five songs that you're like, I'm going to
Yeah.
put these five down so whenever somebody looks it up, they'll find these five Springsteen songs.
Yeah, I did this before his last tour, before he kicked off. I would love, he did Meet Me in the City, which was an outtake from The River. I love that song to start. American Land, a version of what people think Born in the USA is. And so I love that song. Better Days, Land of Hope and Dreams are my two favorite songs. So those we include. Jolie Blanc is a cover he did with Gary Bonds, Gary C. Bonds, yeah, and he had helped him do that. That's a cover I would love to hear. I, early in the podcast, I talked about that if I had my way, if I had to choose between albums from Born in the USA backwards to Letter to You, the Tunnel of Love forward, I would
Hmm.
pick Tunnel of Love forward, even though I would miss all those classics like Thunder Road, Born to Run. But I would love some of him to hear some of these line stuff, this newer versions. So yeah,
I get that. I said in that very first episode that I wasn't necessarily a Springsteen fan.
yeah,
Still, I'm not, even though, like, you had us watch Western Stars, and we still talk about how great that was. And I can really appreciate him. It's just, I don't find
sure.
myself sitting down and listening to, other than I think Nebraska, I've listened to more than once because, wow.
And that's what the movie's going to be about that's coming out in October.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's
Deliver Me.
that. So Jeremy Allen White it's about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Warren Zane, who wrote the book Delivering Me from Nowhere, The Making of Nebraska, and I realize you have no extra time, but that book, Delivering from Nowhere, Rob, it's a mystery. Why did after doing The River and before he did Born in the USA, why did he have to do Nebraska? And
yeah.
that's what the film's going to be about.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like I said, we weren't necessarily fans, but I really do. I like him quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm always intrigued, and I could see there will probably be a point when I pop one on and then I'm listening to all of it.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's the stuff before, even though The River is cool, like I've got some of those albums. To me, it sounds almost like 50s music. It's a little more
Yeah.
simple, and he's doing that sound, and then it's you're right. It's after from Tunnel of Love on. That's when it's he reinvented himself. He's like Taylor Swift with her eras. He's got eras,
Yes.
and some of them really shock me. None of them are bad that I've heard.
Yeah, and we joked. So, like we talked about, one of the things I do is reinvent the podcast. And so when this Tracks 2 came out earlier this year and it had 7 unreleased albums,
Yeah.
I reached out and got 7 different people to join me, each one focusing on one album
Oh, I
so
love
that
it.
I could cover different perspectives. Yeah, it feels like he loves to experiment, try something, and it's when that's part of the creative process.
Yeah.
And some people are want him to do the same thing over and over again, and he doesn't. He would get
No,
bored.
he does not.
No,
No, it's very clear. Oh, I had a beautiful question. It
I'm
wasn't going to be
sorry.
a terrible one, and it
So
would
far,
have
you
been.
haven't asked any terrible questions.
Oh, reason I say they're garbage questions is because they always put you on the spot. Name 3 movies,
That's
name
okay.
3 books, and it's always, oh my God.
Yeah.
So outside of Springsteen,
Yes.
who are your big passions? I know you're like me. You've got a wall of albums and CDs, and
Mm,
when I'm hard pressed, there's a few names that pop right up. Are there any
yeah.
ones outside of Springsteen that you're like
Yeah.
super obsessed with?
Yes. My latest obsession is Jason Isbell.
He's been an
Uh,
obsession for a while, Jesse.
yes.
You were
Uh,
posting that years ago,
yeah.
like I
Yeah.
went and saw Jason Isbell.
Yeah. So I'm just really impressed by his writing. Brian Wilson was my first obsession, and doing that, I I love that I'm doing the John Hyatt podcast,
Yeah.
that we're doing every John Hyatt song in alphabetical order, and that's fun. I Musically, I go through phases. The other thing is I continue to just watch a lot of genre TV and TV in general. And when I go through spells where I was amazed when Wednesday came out and I watched this Netflix special and I went, "Oh my, the show, oh my goodness, how good is this?" So, yeah, and I love the new Superman movie. It made me happy. I grew up idolizing Superman, and this movie made me incredibly happy.
I love that. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So outside of music, your passions, you love genre stuff. I wouldn't say
Yes.
superhero because
Yeah.
I know you're a big sci-fi guy.
Yes.
Now are this is off topic. Are you a horror guy too?
So I wasn't, and I So one of the other passions I do is Lou and Karen, and I still record every Sunday morning. We record an episode. We went through Babylon 5, we went through all seasons of Babylon 5, and now we're just randomly picking things. And Lou loves Stephen King,
Okay.
and he loves horror, and I'm not a horror fan, but he said it was his turn to pick. He says, "I'd really like for us to watch Midnight Mass."
Oh,
Okay, I'll watch it. And
I absolutely loved that.
I went, and I said, this, the old story is Johnny Bench isn't a catcher who can hit. He was a hitter who could catch.
Right.
Midnight Mass isn't a horror film that is a good story. This is a good story that just happens to have horror tinge in it. And so I've now become a fan of that filmmaker.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, and so now then I think the next thing we're gonna talk about is the life of Chuck. He does that.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's well done, I will put up with it. I'm just not a gore guy, you
Yeah,
know.
you don't have to be. It's a wide genre.
Yes.
The reason I ask is I think you went the first time we encountered, it was you and Steve Salyer went to
Yeah.
Texas Frightmare.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yes.
wait, I don't think we've ever talked about horror if that was a
Yeah.
thing for you, but it's a pop culture con. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just at the Star Wars convention, the Rebel Scum, because I wanted to meet Katie Sackhoff, to
Okay.
talk to her
Cool.
about Longmire. Of all the things, I wanted to talk to her about Longmire. Everyone else is talking about Battlestar Galactica and her work in Star Wars, and
And you're
I'm
like,
like, I
let's
loved
talk
you in
about
Longmire.
Longmire. So I have a movie recommendation for you, and you may have
Okay.
seen it already,
Yeah.
but when we're talking about obsessions and really enjoying things, here's a career cut short, but we just went to see the documentary It's Not Over, Jeff Buckley. Have
Oh,
you seen
okay.
this yet?
No, no.
Okay, everybody listening, my highest recommendation, I believe it's showing on HBO Max right now. I'm not positive, but
Okay.
we went and saw it at a theater in New York and at the Angelique. And dear God, it's going to strum the same things that Springsteen does for you, the writing, the singing. It talks about, spoiler, his death because he died after one album. And what I find interesting is that one album, every time you're looking at like Rolling Stones top 100 albums of the last 20 years, it's always on there.
Wow.
So you realize this is another one of these guys that, boy, I can't imagine where he would have gone. Just like Springsteen, he
Yeah.
went. And like I said, Western Stars, that was very unexpected for me
Yeah.
how much I loved 90% of it. I've got one
Yeah.
song I don't like.
Yeah.
Hey, that happens.
Yeah.
But the rest of
But
it was just
it was
stunning.
very interesting because you and Maeve went in with no. This was just a
No.
Jesse wants us to watch this. We'll have
Yeah,
a
we'll
fun
watch it and give him
episode.
our feedback.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and we truly loved it and we talk about it all the time. But yeah, it's never over, Jeff Buckley.
Okay.
Highest recommendation. I got another one that I'm starting to see an obsession with me with, and I think would be good for you after John Hyatt. Elliott Smith would be a good one for you.
Okay. All
I
right.
think
I'll
if you
write that
dove into
down.
Elliott Smith, you'd go, "Oh my God, Elliott Smith now owns my life."
Okay. I will check both of them out.
Jesse,
That's
you're a
good.
big reader. I know we're going to run out of time, but you're a big
That's okay.
reader. I want to hear, who are your favorite authors right now? Who lights you up? You're like, they come out with a book, I got to buy it.
Harlan Coben. I just every time he does something, I just love. I was very sad we lost Peter David. He was always one of my favorite writers. I just discovered the Reacher series.
Oh
I just,
boy,
and that's
I
been a
know
deep
so
dive.
many people that are
Yes,
obsessed with that.
yes. That would probably, those are, and I will, there is a younger writer, not that young, though she'll go, no, yes, I am. Sarah Goodman
Okay,
had Robert Crace is another one I love. So Sarah had written a book, Beyond the Palace, which was a really about a couple falling in love over a Springsteen tour.
okay.
Yeah, boy, Sarah Goodman Cofino. And so her latest book is called Good Grief. And all her books are usually set in the 60s with women with a woman as the main character
Sure.
doing different things. And I think Sarah's just a brilliant writer. And I when I see she's going to get a new book, I get it. And so those are the main ones. There's always Robert Cross is good, Todd Goldman, just I do.
It's going to
And
go on forever, isn't it, Jesse?
yes, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I think, that and that's one of the beautiful things about reading as well as music, right? Is that you end up when you find a new musician or you find a new writer, you get to go down that rabbit hole and looking them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love seeing, I find a new writer or a musician, and you look on Amazon, artists like them, and it's opened up
Yes.
so many possibilities. Or
Absolutely.
I remember reading Stephen King. I always talk about this with people. I'd read Stephen King, and especially in the beginning, he used to reference other authors. Like his character would be obsessed with a book, and he
Hmm.
would name these books. And every time I'd go out and buy those books too, because obviously, if King is putting it in there,
Yeah.
he read them and he was interested.
Yeah.
And I found so many great authors because of that. Over the years, you've had the opportunity to meet so many people in the Springsteen sphere,
Yeah.
especially like people that have played with him or currently play with him. Who have you met? Who's in the band?
So I was able to meet Vinny Lopez, who was the original drummer for the E Street Band for the first two albums. I was able to Mike Appel, who was Bruce's first manager. I was able to have him. I met little Steven at a just enough to get my picture taken. Have not got to spend any time. That's my, obviously my white whale is to get someone from the E Street Band on the podcast. Hank Azaria, who is currently doing a Springsteen tribute band for charity.
Oh, I didn't
Uh,
know that.
yeah, I ran into him at Jersey. He was at this event I'm going to, and he was swamped. But I did get to have my picture taken with him, and I slipped a card and said, please think about joining. I just would have you talk
He
about
might do
Bruce.
it.
He might.
He
He
might do
might
it.
do it. Yes.
I let it. And you also did get to meet Bruce when you got your book signed.
Yes, I
You're,
did.
you're
And
leaving one out there.
yes, I did get to meet Bruce. Yes. I did get to meet his Dave Marsh, who is married to Barbara Carr, his longtime manager, a long co-manager with John Landau. I got to meet him at a concert. So yeah, I've met my share, and my my wife cracks up like just you're a mini celebrity in Springsteen fandom. I go, yes, I am. I said it's very minor, but yes, I am.
You're part of the story. And
Yeah.
that was one of the things when we started this whole thing 14 years ago. Something I was really aware of is you're doing a podcast about Babylon 5. You've become part of the story.
Yes.
Chris and I did one about the show Deutschland 83. Do you know we're the only podcast that covered Deutschland 83?
Yeah.
And the showrunner wrote to us and shared stuff with us because she's, I love your show and it's about my show. And it's fantastic. And you're right. In a small way, you become part of the story.
Yeah.
And Springsteen's a big one to become part of the story with, but you've done it, Jesse.
Yeah. I have. I
And I
have
love
very
that.
much. Thank you. Thank you, my
Je-
friend.
Jesse, this has been wonderful. Thank you
Well,
for 10 years.
yeah.
And if you
So
ever get so you want to ditch it and you go, I've had enough, call me. I'll talk to you. Maybe I can coach you through it so you don't quit
thank you.
or reignite your passion somehow. You never
Yeah.
know.
Rob, I do give you and Maeve a lot of credit. You guys were there for me at the very beginning, helped me, worked me through it, and one day we're going to meet in person.
It's going to happen.
It will. It happens
It's
so
going to
much.
happen.
Yeah.
Jesse, I can't tell you, our whole family, Molly, Maeve, we love you. We have loved you this whole time. We continue to love you, and we are so very proud of you.
Thank you, my friend. All right, that's it. We're gonna get Rob out of here because me being me, I have another podcast because I may have a problem. So here, one Sylvan Groth, who does the John Hyatt podcast with me, says we are gonna have an intervention for Jesse, but not till we get to Z. We get to once we get through all the Hyatt songs, then we'll have an intervention. So Rob, I love you. Love to you, your wonderful family, and let's catch up soon, okay?
Same to yours, Jesse. Thank you for being you.